Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about how to create vendor master in SAP. So before creating any vendor master in SAP, there are certain prerequisites we have to configure in SAP. There are some configuration is required before creating the vendor master. So let me show you what are the configuration is required. So prerequisition to create vendor master is, so you should have vendor account group, number range, then the reconciliation account. What is this number range? What is this vendor account group? So in order to segregate your vendors in SAP, we can create a vendor account group like F5 vendors, MM vendors, local, domestic, foreign, government vendor, employee vendor. So there are different types of vendors will be there. To segregate those vendors, we will create vendor account groups. And for each and every account groups, there will be some number ranges will be assigned. So that will be configured in the T code XK01. So like in this number range XK01, so this is the number range will be created in 2-digit codes like 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 10, 11, 12, so whatever the number you feel like to create, or this is all the configuration will be done by your SAP FICO consultants. So in this each and every numbers 02, 03, 04 something, so in this there are certain number ranges will be there. Like this 03 number has some number range like 2 lakh to 2 lakh 999. This 04 has some number ranges like 3 lakh to 3 lakh 999. Similarly, all these numbers will have its own number ranges. Like whenever you assign these number ranges to your account group, and when you create a vendor with this account group, your vendor will be created with this number ranges, whichever you assign to the vendor account group. Like in my case, for this HP01 account group has number range is 03, HP02 has 04, 05, 03, something like this we have already assigned. And these number ranges has certain configuration, certain condition that if you assign this 03 to HP01, then if it is check mark is done like EXT means external number range. If you tick that, then while creating vendor master, you have to enter the vendor number your own. Like before creating vendor itself, you have to enter the number. Like in between these range, you have to enter the vendor number. But if it is not selected like this, if it is blank, then it is called an internal number range. For example, in this case, you can see 7 lakh to 7 lakh 999, 12, and this 12 has been assigned to government vendor HP06. And while creating vendor master, if you select this account group as HP06, then you have to enter your vendor number well before creating the vendor itself. Okay, let me show you that in SAP how it will be taken care. Now this is about the second configuration, number range, and this number ranges will be assigned to your vendor account group. So now these steps are already configured in SAP, so I will just show you that how it is done. And then the third kind of configuration is your reconciliation account or vendor reconciliation account. So what is this vendor reconciliation account is? So you have seen the balance sheet. So in balance sheet, we will be having two parts. One is the liability accounts and one side is your asset accounts. Okay, so a liabilities, we can see some options like capital, short-term loan. Then we have something called as sundry creditors. Then similarly in asset side also we have some heads like fixed asset. Then we have current asset. Again inside this fixed asset also you will be finding some of the assets like vehicles, land and building, furnitures and fixtures. But similarly in current asset also you have cash, bank, sundry, debtors. Okay, something like that you will be having some reconciliation account, sundry debtors. I'll write it like this. So now once you update this, Like why we are drawing this diagram is to understand this reconciliation account. So we will be having some 100 vendors. Assume that 100 vendors or maybe 10 vendors. Vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3, vendor 4, vendor 5 and vendor 100. Assume that 100 vendors. And in each and every vendor we have done some transactions. Like this vendor I have done 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, then something like that we have done some transactions. So total of these vendors is equals to sum. So 7,500 is the total balance. So do you think we will maintain or we will update this all the vendor line items or vendor balance in the balance sheet? We cannot do that. So in order to show this total payable of our company in balance sheet, we will create one account that is called a sundry creditors. This sundry creditors is also called a reconciliation account. So whenever you post any transactions in this vendor, amount is 100, so it will keep on accumulating the total amount like this, and the same amount will be accumulated and it will be shown in the balance sheet. So total like this 7,500. Now you have done some new entry in this vendor, like you have posted new document, like now it is become 900 or 600. Now this will become 8,000. Now same amount will be updated in balance sheet, 8,000 rupees. Okay, so this is called your sundry creditors account. Is nothing but it's a reconciliation account. So how do we create that? Now we will, already it has been created in the system. Like in my previous video I have created have uploaded the video how to create the GL account. So this is a reconciliation account. It is required to some different selection parameter in the GL level. So we will check that what we have to select extra. So now let us check one by one all this configuration whether it is already available or not. So now you can see here this all the configuration stuff will be done by your consultants, but this GL account creation will be done by your master data team. So now let me go to OBD3 and show you the configuration quickly, and then we'll move on to the vendor creation. So this vendor creation is done by your VMD team or VDM team, whatever we call. This is the master data in SAP. So here we have some of the vendor account groups. Now my vendor account groups is already created, like HP01. HP01 is for FI vendor, vendor, local, domestic, something like that we have already created. And for this each and every vendor accounts I have assigned some number ranges also. So here you can see my number ranges are 03, 04, 05. So let us check this XK01, and if you want to display you can click on this. So here is my number ranges are already operated. So 03 is from 2 lakh to 2 lakh 99, 3 lakh to 399, 04, something that all the number ranges have been updated. And here you can see some options, external assignment. If this external is check mark is done, then it means this number range, here you can see 12 number, it is updated as an external number. Okay, and if you assign this number ranges to your account group like this, then this 12 number is become external number range. While creating vendor master, you have to enter the vendor number before. So let me show you that how it will work. Now this number ranges has been already updated or created in the system, and this all the number ranges has to be assigned to your account group. So where we can assign that? So we can assign that in, let me add some more. The transaction code is OBAS. If you go to this T code, you can assign the vendor number ranges to your account group. Now let me go to position, and my account group is HP01. Now you can see HP01 is having 03, 04, 05, 6, 10, 11, 12. Now here you can see HP government vendors has a 12. So if you are creating government vendors, so you will select this account group and create the vendor. So this is my 12 is been assigned here, but as per this 12, if you see here, this is external number range is maintained. Okay, so this is the SAP consultants or FICO consultants will do the configuration. But now let us continue and check the GL account, reconciliation account. So now let me copy this. I have already created the GL account for sundry creditors account or reconciliation account. Let us display this and we'll continue to create the vendor master. So go to FS00 where we can display the GL account and we can create also. So this is my number. Click on the display. Okay, this is my different. Let me check. I will take this number because this is the sundry creditors local. So here 100,502 is my GL account for sundry creditors account. So how this is different than the regular GL account is, now if you go to control data tab, here something called a reconciliation account type. If you select this as a vendor, then this GL account become sundry creditors account or reconciliation account for vendors. If you have, if you want to create sundry debtors account, then instead of vendor, you have to select customer. Something that way, this GL account will be created. And don't forget to enter this G067 for the reconciliation account types, the field status group. Okay, now let us go back and let us start creating the vendors. Now this all the configuration is already available in my system, in my SAP. Now let us try to create the vendor. But vendor also created in different ways. So one is a finance level, then we have a MM level, or we can create in a centrally also. Like finance level, if you want to create, then we use the T code XK01. If you want to create MM level, then you can use MK01. Or if you want to create both at the same time, then use XK01. So if you use this, you will get only finance related fields to be entered. If you use this, MM related fields will be displayed, or these fields will be available to enter. If you use XK01, you will get both the fields in the same T code. Okay, now let us try to create the vendor with the XK01, which is centrally. Now let me copy this and go to XK01, or you can also go by path also. There are certain paths we have in SAP. If you don't remember the transaction codes, like there are thousands of transaction codes we have, we cannot remember all the transaction codes. So go to accounting, financial accounting. Then according to your activity, you can go further. Like I want to do something about the accounts payable, so I'll go to accounts payable. If you want to do something about AR, then you will go to AR. If you want to do something about GL, then you will go to general ledger. But now I will go to accounts payable, then go to master data. You want to create master data, right? So this is vendor master creation is a master data. So go to master records. Then we have some options here. If it is a finance level, similarly we also have a MM level and centrally also. So go by path also, or you can also go by the transaction code. Now I will go to XK01 directly and enter. So as I mentioned, if you have a number range for vendor account group, it is external number ranges. Like if you take HP06, which is a government vendor, and enter the purchasing organization here H500 and enter the company code, and if you do not enter the vendor number here and you hit enter, you will get an error. The account group HP06 uses external number assignment, specify an account number. So it means we have to enter the vendor number here before you proceed. Or if you enter HP01, which is a finance vendor, FI vendor, and if you hit enter, you will not get any error. Let me enter. See, and it is clearly showing me that internal number. So when you click on save, you will get the number or vendor number will show. Now let's continue. Now here, what are the parameters we have to enter for creating the vendor? Who will give this information? So basically, whenever you are creating a vendor master, you should have all the information of that vendor ready. So who will give that? The procurement team or the purchasing department will give the vendor information, because they only selected the vendor, right? During the purchasing, during the procurement, or during the vendor selection process, they have already collected the vendor information and they will put that in vendor template. Okay, there will be some vendor Excel template and that template will be sent to vendor master team. The vendor creation job will be done by VMD team. So VMD team will create these vendors. So now according to the template, now we will continue to create the vendor master. Now I will select the title as a company and enter some vendor name. Now assume that now I am purchasing some goods from one of the vendor like Airbus. Airbus is one of the supplier for our company. Airbus, maybe it is India. Airbus India Private Limited. Then here it's a short name of the company. For just for a searching purpose, we can enter Airbus. Now let's move on. This street address, I will enter some random data now. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Postal code, I will enter 50001 and it is Bangalore. Then country is India. So one thing you don't one thing you have to understand is in SAP, if you see this kind of screen, it means it is a mandatory field. Without entering this field, you cannot proceed further. Like you have to enter. Like let me show you. If I will not enter anything here and I will hit enter. See, it is not asking, it is not allowing me to go further. So here I have to enter the data. So region means it's nothing but it's a state. Like now Bangalore, it is from Karnataka, so I will enter 10. So one more thing guys, you remember here in SAP, SAP doesn't understand the language. It doesn't understand English or doesn't understand any other language. So only it will understand the codes. Like you can see here, RG means it's a code. For Karnataka, the SAP company, SAP software company, they have created some codes, 10 for the Karnataka. If it is a Maharashtra, then it has 13. If it is Gujarat, then it is 606. If it is Goa, 05, something like that. Each and every state or wherever each and every object, SAP has created some codes. So SAP will only understand the codes. So select this 10 as a region code. And you can see here India also, our country is India. So we are entering IN for India. Okay, you can see here for India it is IN. Something like different country if you want to use, then you have to enter code. And one more thing here in vendor creation, you can see create vendor, it is address field. Now this we are in the address tab. If you hit enter, it will move on to the next screen where it will be asking to enter some control related data. Like if the Airbus is also our customer, then if we have that customer master created in SAP, then we can enter that customer number here, so that it will reconcile the balance of the customer and now he is also becoming vendor. So the reconciliation will automatically happen and it will show the balance accordingly. So we do not have that customer as of now, so I will not enter it. Now, so here about the information like tax information, I will enter some, if it is in India, so it will be having some GST number, some random number. This is also received by your procurement team. So they will give it to you. Entire details will be given by procurement team. Now click on enter. Here it is about the payment transactions, like the bank details of the vendor. Now I will take the bank of the vendor master, like vendor's bank account I am entering here to make the payment in when the documents are due, then we have to make, right? So we have to enter the bank details. Now country, now bank branch of the vendor, assume that they have ICICI Bank branch and they have some bank account numbers, some 10-digit numbers or whatever the digits they have of the bank, they will give it to you. Now hit enter. If this bank details has been updated, if you come this right side, you will get some bank name of the vendor. Okay, now let's continue. Click on enter. it will move on to the further for the contact person. Now enter something here, like I will enter test. So here we have something called vendors, contact persons department. Now he is from sales department, so might be test whatever the person we have contacted. So he is from sales department, and he is the head of sale. Now I will select the designation of that person and click on enter. So once you hit enter, this detail will update here. Now let us continue. Click on again enter. It will go further. Now here onwards, the company code specific data will start, because we are getting this company code here. As of now we have entered, that is general data, and now from here it will be company code specific data. So there will be three types of data in SAP for vendor creation. One is a general data, then second is a company code specific data, then third is a material management specific data or purchasing specific data. So now we are in the company code specific data. So what are the things we require to update a company code specific data is, the very important thing is reconciliation account. So reconciliation account means we have already checked this is my reconciliation account. So let me enter that. If you click on F4, or you can just directly enter that number. Sorry, we have that number here already. Enter the recon account, and then we have to enter the sort key, which will control our assignment field of the transaction. Whenever you post any transaction, it will control the assignment fields of a particular transaction. So yeah, we will discuss in detail when we post the transactions in the vendor master. So I will create a separate video for that, for posting the transactions and displaying the line items of the vendor. Now I will enter 012, which means if you select this, when you post the transaction, then vendor number will be updated during the transaction posting. So now let's move on further. Now here it is cash management group. I will have to enter. Like now here this Airbus India is a local or domestic vendor. So I will select domestic. If it is a foreign vendor, then I have to select foreign. If it is a major vendor, personal vendor, taxes, so according to your requirement you can select. So this is again the planning purpose, or the treasury team they will suggest you to update these details. Now I will enter domestic because this is a domestic vendor. Now click on enter. There are so many other fields also available which are it is enabled or we can make entry. But as of now, the procurement team has given these many details, and that's how we have to enter this. Yeah, if they have given some of the other details also, like we cannot it is not necessary that while creating vendor master you have to enter these fields. It is not necessary. Whatever the fields you feel like to enter or you have as of now, you can enter. But if it is a mandatory field and if you are not entering, its system will not allow. Now let us enter this required information as of now, and whenever you require to enter any different fields, then you can anytime you can come back to this vendor and you can modify. That will be again done by your vendor management team or VMD team in transaction code XK02. So 01 is for creation, 02 is for modification. So now in this field we have entered cash management group, sort key, reconciliation account, then hit enter. Now here this is about the vendors payment transaction accountings. Now the payment terms of payment I have to enter for the particular vendor. Now, what is this terms of payment is, like vendor may have given you some credit period for 20 days, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever the terms they have agreed between the negotiation, or they may have given you some quotation. If you know P2P well, so you will understand that the quotation, the vendor has given the quotation, based on the quotation, so it will be mentioned in the terms of payment. So now I'll assume that now vendor has given some 30 days of credit period, and we will have to enter the credit period of terms of payment here. So as I mentioned, SAP doesn't understand the numbers or it doesn't understand the language, so we have to enter some codes. So there are certain terms of payment codes which is already created for 30 days. So enter NT30, then move on. Again, as I told you, no need to enter some of the fields which is not necessary right now. Just move on. Now check double invoice. This is important. So when you select this, if it will, the system will check whether the documents are already processed in the system. Like assume that there is a invoice number from Airbus is already posted, like 1 2 3 4, and you are trying to post one more invoice with the same number in the Airbus 1 2 3 4. Then in that case, the system will check certain parameter like the company code, vendor number, and invoice date, posting date. There are, if these four things are similar, or maybe invoice number is similar, then system will stop us to proceed further, or it will, some companies will show us the warning message, some companies will have a hard stop error. So if you check this mark, if you do this check mark, then system will validate that from the backend. So either system will check whether the documents have been already posted in this vendor with the same number or not. So hit enter and it will move on to the further for further details. Now you can see this is about the correspondence accounting. So it means that we may have to send certain letters to the vendors, like vendor statements. So how frequently you want to send? You want to send weekly, or you want to send monthly, or how do you want? You want to send yearly. So we have three options. So majority of the company, they will send a monthly. So select the code 2. 2 means it's a monthly. Now hit enter. It's moved on to the further. Now from here onwards, now you can see purchasing organization. It means now onwards the screens will start, like material management data or purchasing tabs. Now in this purchasing data, we will have to enter the order currency, terms of payment, or whatever. Even if you keep it blank and if you hit enter and save, it will save. But whenever you want to create a purchase order for this vendor, the order currency, what should be the currency? Like you may have to enter, like I want to create a purchase order in US currency, then you can enter it here. Or if you want to create the order from INR currency only, then I will enter INR. So since it is a company from India, so I mean India vendor, for this particular vendor I want to create INR only, so I will enter INR. Then terms of payment, how the purchase order should update terms of payment, like as per your requirement you can enter. So NT 30, then you have Incoterm, then we have minimum order value, then we have some of the other control data here, like a GR based invoice. If you select this, then whenever you create a purchase order, then this selection parameter will default while doing the purchase order. So as I will not enter this as of now, I will just move on updating only these two updates and I will continue. So click on enter. Now it is going to the further, like partner functions. So partner function means nothing but it's a type of vendor, like whether it is a bill to address, or whether it is a ship to address, or whether they are a payer, or whether they are so like they may be having, vendor may have some different vendors with the same name, like they are only we can make the payment to that payer. If we have created partner functions as a payer, then we can mention here as a partner function. This code, whenever it creates the vendor master, inside that you may have different payer also. Something, it has some functionality in SAP. We will discuss on that maybe later. So again, it's a purchasing or the specific topic. We will not discuss much here. Now click on enter. If you have some data, you can enter here, or if you don't have, you can skip it. Click on enter, and at last you will get this message whether you want to save it or you want to do some more addition or modification. Then click on cancel. It will allow you to edit some data, or if you want to save, click on yes. So your new vendor master has been created in SAP with vendor code 200075 has been created for company code HPPL, purchasing organization H500, and click on enter. Sorry, just go back and display that vendor. Go to XK03, and that is the 200,075 was the vendor. And if you want to display, you can select all and you can display. See, this is how the vendor masters will be created. And again, this is all depends now it is a ECC, but in S4 HANA it has a different procedure to create a vendor master. So this XK01 or whatever the vendor master creation T codes we have in SAP ECC, those all the T codes have been replaced with a different transaction code, that is BP. So we will learn that in S4 HANA specific vendor creation, how it will be done in the upcoming videos. So that's all. Thank you so much guys. Please subscribe my channel if you want to see such kind of videos related to SAP. It can be finance, it can be MM, it can be sales and distribution, or any other modules videos. If you want to see, please subscribe. Thank you all. Have a good day.